We're putting in a brand new Lennox system, and it's upflow in an attic. So we have to get the furnace out of the attic and put a new furnace and coil up in the attic. And then we've got the condenser around on the other side of the house. So this is the new Lennox system we're putting in. This is their Elite line. So we're just setting it in. It still has to be squared up, everything like that. And we'll get it connected. So we have our install crews out here. We've got one individual working in the attic, in the furnace, handling that. The other individual is working on this. So again, we've got to connect the electrical, connect the line set, and get everything dialed in, properly evacuated once the two systems are connected inside and outside. And then we'll be ready to provide fresh, comfortable, efficient cooling and heating to this home. Right now we've got some line set here that we're putting in, and we're actually going to be brazing these ones in. However, we're moving to pro press type of situation where we will be braze free in short order. Currently we still braze, and we will always have scenarios where we braze, but the press fittings are going to eliminate the need to flow nitrogen through a system. It's critical that nitrogen is flowed through a system while brazing. Otherwise, you cause all kinds of havoc on the interior of the line set, which can cause all kinds of issues with the performance of the system. So we flow nitrogen, we braze. However, when we move to the newer technology, no brazing required, no nitrogen required. But once we get everything connected, we'll put in a new disconnect box, new electrical whip. That'll all be updated. And once all of that's done, we'll pull a vacuum. One thing we're doing is making sure the system has no leaks. The most important part of the vacuum is making sure we remove all non-condensables. We want to make sure that that's the scenario we have before we release the refrigerant into the system, into the line set. A lot of processes, a lot of steps to install a system correctly. One of the philosophies we live by is the most important day in your air conditioning system's life is the day it's installed, because how we install it, what we do during install, is going to determine how well it performs to manufacturer specifications and how long it lasts. I often use an analogy. A lot of people will go buy a car and they'll go to different dealerships and they'll look for the best deal they can get, the best pricing. And okay, great, because guess what? That Ford truck or that Mercedes, whatever it is, it came off the same assembly line and same shipping process to get there. So you're basically buying something that was manufactured in the same facility, just at different dealerships. Air conditioning, manufactured in the same facility, shipped to different dealerships, right? Or contractors. But now imagine, if you would, your car is shipped unassembled in the boxes to the dealership. And now you had to not just buy your vehicle, but the dealer you were choosing had to put it together for you. Now it kind of takes on a whole different meaning to selecting the right contractor and the right installation, because you could have a car that the dealer had to put together. Now it really matters who the dealer is and their ability and the quality standards they set and the training programs they have in place. Same thing with air conditioning, except in the air conditioning world, we really do have to put it together and assemble it. That's why we call it an applied product. And we just, not just assemble it, we have to assemble it to fit the specific needs of your home to make sure you get the most efficient system that meets or exceeds design standards and gives you years of trouble-free operation. All right, something really important is covering the floors, protecting the floors. We also like to protect the corners when we're moving equipment in and out. We want to cover that and protect that. And then this, I always say, when I show up at a job, it better look like a scene from E.T. So this is the proper way to do this, to protect everything in the closet, keep dust under control and things like that. So, and then up here is our attic access. And, you know, when they build homes, you know, it's nice. They want to put the air conditioning equipment, so your indoor coil, your furnace, out of sight, out of way, right? I mean, it makes sense. However, there's very little, if any, thought given to when it comes time to replace. A lot of times attic accesses are not made big enough. and you have to take equipment apart to put it in, or take it apart to take it out, or you have to widen the attic access. This one happens to be perfect size. Don't have to worry about any of that, but always something that has to be considered. Also, a lot of times trusses can be in the way, and so you can't just go cutting trusses out of the way. So it can get very complex as to how you're going to get a system out and then back in when it comes time to replace. So anyways, the crew inside is installing this. Here is the furnace, all right, and then up here is the coil. This is what we call the indoor part of the air conditioning system. So you got the furnace and then the coil, and this is in an attic. Typically in an attic, you have what we call a horizontal configuration where it's laying on its side. So just take this and lay it on its side. Occasionally, we have scenarios like this where it's an upflow configuration. So that's what we've got here. Julio's our top installer. He's the one getting this installed. Something important but interesting too is, you know, we're in the desert, so we don't use our furnace as much as you would, let's say, if you're in the Midwest or other parts of the country. And you always hear people say, well, I don't use my furnace that much. I don't use the heat that much. The reality is, in this furnace unit is the blower, all right? And the blower's right here, down here. Now, the blower operates in heating and cooling, or if you just want the fan-only mode on, and that's what circulates the air through the system. So the reality is, people use the furnace extensively. They use it anytime they're running the air conditioning, anytime they're running the heater, or anytime they are just running an indoor air quality cycle, or just circulating air for that purpose. So this is used quite a bit. The other thing, people tell me they don't use their heat that often. I always say, well, look at a car. Take a car, park it on the side of the road, and just let it sit. That car is going to age quicker than a car that you're driving every day. Things are going to wear out, cobwebs are going to develop, critters are going to take refuge, and we see it here. Critters take refuge in these things from time to time. We'll connect to this. This is the flue. On the roof, there's a flue cap, but there are times flue caps go missing, get blown off by the wind. It's really good that part of your yearly maintenance for your heater is they check the flue cap. Otherwise, we've had squirrels, birds, everything like that burrow into them, make nests. We've had mice get down into this part, which is the heat exchanger, and take refuge there. So just really something interesting and important to recall and remember when it comes time to have your maintenance done and replace a system. So this pan here is a condensate tray, and that's in case the condensate from this overflows, this will catch it, and then this is a safety switch. And once water gets into that and detected, it will shut your system down, so it'll stop running. Because if it doesn't, it will eventually overflow. We'll have a primary and a secondary coming off of this, and this is your coil, and this is your first condensate tray. Condensate goes in here and will run out the pipe safely outside the home. But again, algae, bugs, things like that can cause those things to clog up, and you could get a backup. Another reason, yearly maintenance, or ideally twice a year, having that blown out with nitrogen to make sure it stays clear.